deeply discounted properties, right? You find someone that wants a pawn shop for their house, and you pass that opportunity on to a flipper, a buy and hold investor for a fee. So for example, if I find, let's say his name's Steve, right? I find Steve, and Steve inherited this house, and his stepsister is on drugs, living in the house. They're cooking meth in the house. Steve has to fly in from...
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. Today, I have an incredible guest, and I know I always say that, but it's because it's always true. And before I introduce this gentleman to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, and Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And today I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some type of insight, a skill, a new information, or the inspiration to go out and take action, to keep on moving forward towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this interview with 10 people. I know that it's a lot to ask, but share it with 10 friends. Share it on social media, post the link on your Facebook wall, share it on your stories, share it with 10 friends, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless more entrepreneurs out there, more men to change their lives and achieve true freedom and have it all. And today I have Zack Boothe. Was that right? Was your last name right, man?
Yep, Booth. Yep.
Awesome. And this modern gentleman is, husband, father, entrepreneur. You can see his shirt, right? Driving for dollars. So that's, he teaches people how to gain financial and time freedom with real estate. He has his podcast as well. He's a coach, and I'm very excited to have you, Zack. Thank you very, very much for making time, even if it's from your car, man. I really appreciate it. And
I actually had some family stuff. I'm normally in my office, so sorry, everybody. I'm just here in my truck. So,
well, you're welcome, man.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
So, man, the first thing that I do with my guest is I ask them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay. Well, it was, the fastest way to explain it is it was a lot of struggle, right? There was that the big thing that pushed me was not being satisfied for where I was. So I had loving parents. They're pretty hard on me. And my dad cut me off financially at 16, actually. So if I wanted to play sports, if I wanted to, I wanted to play basketball in high school, I wanted to have adventures, I'm a major outdoorsman, I had to pay for it. And so I started working at a young age. By the time I was 17, I had made handcrafted cheese, framed houses, finished carpentry. I'd done a bunch. So by the time I was 17, was trying to buy a truck cash because my dad wouldn't even co-sign for a loan. And I needed to find a way to make more money with less time. All right. So I looked at my options of what I could do, and I started a window cleaning business that I actually did okay with. It provided for a really good living at that time for me, living at home. I didn't have to pay for housing and food, but I paid for everything else. And so I started that business when I was 17. I built it for about 10 years. And then it got to the point where then that wasn't enough. I had a little boy and my wife. And I remember the day my son was born, I didn't know how I was going to pay for the medical bills. And so, what really drove me to figure it out and find more money was the pain of not feeling like I was enough, not having enough. It didn't come because I wanted more money and I wanted a Lamborghini and I wanted to impress girls. It had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with, me needing the world's attention. And that's why I wanted money. I wanted to take care of myself. I wanted to take care of my family, and work was, being an entrepreneur was kind of an option that could get me what I needed and what I wanted out of my life. So that's kind of, 75 seconds of the best I could.
Cool. Awesome. Well, man, does that still drive you? Does like not enough still drive you?
I'm a big believer that for someone to make big changes, pain is the biggest motivator. I think for the most part, intrinsically, we think what drives us is the pursuit of pleasure. We think we want to make money so we can have nice cars and nice houses and attract women and, have the good things in life. But it's actually not that. I think that what really pushes us to do uncomfortable things and work long hours and learn new skills that are not easy to learn and make mistakes and look like a dummy, it's the pain of not having. It's the pain of the pain of not having what you want has to be more painful than doing the work to get there. So I think the biggest motivator and the biggest driver for all people is avoidance of pain. Do I think it drives me as much now? It's evolved from there for me, because it got to the point where I have a surplus. I have more than I ever imagined. I eventually found the success to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted. And I found that mentoring and coaching and serving other people fulfills me 100 times more than just making money for myself or buying things for myself. And so it's, my work has come from a place of love so much and not so much as a place of pain. But I think a lot of that drive to push me to change and not be lazy anymore started with the avoidance of pain, for sure.
Because you didn't want pain, right? Like you didn't want any more pain. So that's what drove you. But I think avoiding pain is actually what keeps people stuck. Because think about, why do people do not put the bottle down? Because drinking is pleasurable, right? Like, and putting it down is painful. Why do people do not go to the gym? Because going to the gym is painful, and it's better to like be sitting at the couch and watching TV and eating chips. Why do most people don't wake up early? Because like waking up and going out is painful, right? So I believe that actually,
so here's a perspective, right? So someone drinks, right? And they drink too much to avoid pain, and they drown themselves in the bottle, right? Well, hopefully, and usually what will eventually happen to something is they'll realize that it's more painful to drown your sorrows in the bottle, and the people that they love the most will be hurt around them. And eventually many will choose that the pain of hurting those around them is more painful, is greater than saying no to the bottle. I'm not saying everyone does. My grandfather was an alcoholic and a gambler and left my dad and his family, destitute. My dad borrowed food from his neighbor. It's one of the reasons my dad was so hard on me, as he grew up abused and in a horrible life. And he's so much different than his father. He was hard on me. He was harsh, but he taught me core values, and he was there for me, and he loved me, where he told me his dad never told him he loved him, and so my life is 1,000 times better than my father's. But, I look at what I had to do to become a successful entrepreneur, and I had to wake up early. I had to learn to do door-to-door sales. I had to learn to handle rejection. I had to learn to hire employees and deal with, CRMs and how to manage finances and how to do taxes and how to deal with workman's comp. And dude, it sucked and it terrified me. And I thought I was stupid. I thought I was the dumbest person on this planet. I struggled in school, and I made all kinds of mistakes. But the big thing for me, it was like, I told my wife I wanted to drop out of college and pursue my entrepreneurial dreams. And she said, okay, I believe in you. And I thought she was going to fight me. And when she said that, I was like, dude, I have to prove her right. My love for my wife and my fear of letting her down, my fear of not being the man that she deserved, was a huge motivator. It still is. I'm getting emotional. My wife was upset with me because I said something stupid last night to her, and I couldn't even work today. That's why I'm here. This is why I'm here in my truck.
Yeah.
I had to come home and apologize, right? Because my wife, my family, like that is number one to me. And I wanted to be the greatest man that I could be, and help my kids progress, and help my wife, have what she wanted and find fulfillment. And I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted to be worthy of her love, and so very much so, like what guides and directs my choices and my values is definitely that desire to be the best for my family.
Awesome. To be the best for your family. It sounds to me, so man, I did this exercise the other day, to write like my obituary, and something came up, right? And what came up was this, like strong men create good times create weak men create bad times create strong men create, and then it's a cycle, right? So like you said right now, like so my father had to go through a lot of pain to learn some lessons that he now gave to me for free. And like I'm living my life is like 1,000 times better than my father's, right? And he was a strong man, right, who created these good times that I'm living right now, pretty good, right? Like 1,000 times better than his. So instead of me being a weak man, I want to be a stronger, wiser, more evolved, more better developed, more intelligent man who creates even better times, in which he raises beautiful kids and beautiful kids, right, to become the most stronger than ever, the most beautiful than ever, wiser than ever, more evolved than ever, intelligent than ever, men and women who change the world, right? And that's something that's what sounds you're doing, right? Like showing up, trying to be the best version of yourself for your family, like creating better times for the times that your father gave you, and beautiful, and then raising beautiful kids and beautiful kids to be the best that they can be, the strongest than ever men and women who will go out and make some have more impact. So yeah, that's so. Do you mind talking about like your values? You've mentioned that a couple of times, so I'm curious.
Yeah, so these are actually really good because I use them not only for a guide of how I live my life, but I also use it as a filter on who I bring onto my team. I read them every team meeting every week. These are things that I look for in the character of a person, because when you go to hire someone, they may have the capabilities and the time and desire to fulfill a responsibility for you in your business. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you will never do it on your own. So you have to attract the right people. And the first filter is, do they have the core values? Because they can have all the skill in the world, but if they don't have the right core values, you will never grow, and they will never grow with you, right? Then you go, okay, let's double check that they have the capabilities, the skill set, and everything else. So those core values that I have the first one is integrity, right? We do the right thing no matter what, and we live with the consequences of our actions, right? We don't share partial truths. The next one is accountability, right? We're accountable to ourselves and we're accountable to each other. No excuses, right? We look for solutions, not excuses. And we take responsibility for our outcomes. The next one is self-improvement. We invest into our own self-improvement and education for us to overcome and accomplish the goals we set. Let's see, there's one more. The activity, because like it's one thing for me to tell you my core values, right? And the activity that I give my clients and that I've done with others is, as I have them sit down and think about, people that they've worked with in the past, coworkers, or people that have worked for them in the past, and write down all the things that you liked and admired about someone, like the good, and then the same with the bad. Like, what was it that made you resent that person? What was it about that person, right? And you usually can figure out, like, what is the things that you admire? What are the things that you respect? And then what are the things that you do not like? And that becomes your own moral compass to stay true to your heart, right? If you're like, oh, I hate when people lie to me, but you're bending the truth and manipulating others, it's like, well, you're going to attract who you are. but that's the activity that I suggest. But those are some things that I definitely live by.
Awesome. And that's a great point, right? I want to make sure to like not breeze over this, because I've just started to like build a team and go from being a solopreneur to like actually having a team and working with clients and actually being a CEO, right? And I've had core values even before I had a team, right? Which gave me the ability to actually to like actually implement my core values or like use them to hire a team. So, and it's really cool, man. I totally resonate with that, because I've been hiring based on my core values, and I hire on based on character, not skill, because like video editing, I have video editors on my team. Like anyone could video edit. Like I learned how to video edit on YouTube in like a couple of days, right? Yeah. Copywriting, like you can read a couple of books for copywriting and you can learn how to copyright, right? Or I have designers, right? I know how to use Canva and go in there and design a couple of stuff for myself. But like I do not hire on skill. I hire on, like the willingness of the person to like learn and work and their character and I also have my core values. So I would just want to make sure to not breeze over it, because for any entrepreneurs, like most entrepreneurs that will listen to this are, like married entrepreneurs with kids. Either they have a business or they're looking to start one but have a job and they think that is what's holding them back. I'm sorry. And or like the financial freedom is what seems to be the most, like the ones that the freedom that they feel the most, the one that lacks the most, the financial one, right? And a key for that is actually building a team and actually becoming like an entrepreneur, a business owner, a leader. And a very important part of that is having core values and using them to build people, because I've made a shift recently, right? Which is all I do is build people. That's all I do. I build people, and these people that I'm helping build are helping me build my business.
100%, dude. And a lot of people, they're not really sure where to start, right? Like one of my most frequently asked questions is like, hey, Zach, I want to get started in real estate investing. And I don't even know if I even mentioned this on this podcast, but I transitioned from that window cleaning business to being a real estate investor. And it wasn't because I had a ton of money. I didn't have really any money at all, but I wanted real estate because I wanted more money, because there wasn't much in window cleaning, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the questions I get from people is like, okay, well, I want to get out of my job. I don't love it. Or I have part-time hours. Like I need a side hustle. I need to make money. I want to get into real estate. And they're asking questions like, what's the first step? Should I get an LLC? They're not even thinking about hiring people. They're thinking like, where do I even start? Do I need a business license? Do I need a real estate license? Like, how do I start? And I think that is one of the major issues that I see as well. Is people want to get into real estate, but they don't really know where to start.
Okay, and so that's what you use. That's the vehicle that you used to achieve that time and financial freedom, right? Real estate. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, when I was a window cleaner, I did okay from the outside looking in. I had employees and trucks, but I was barely scraping by. And I mentioned that my son was born and I didn't even know how I was going to pay the medical bills, mm-hmm. And so it's like, yeah, I got to do something different. This is not working. I've been building this business for almost 10 years and I'm struggling. And so I learned about, real estate. It was the best place to put your money, and, more millionaires are made off this than any other asset, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a ton of money. How do I invest when I don't have money? I don't have a rich mm-hmm. uncle. I don't come from money. How do you get started? And I learned about something that I thought was too good to be true. I was like super skeptical of it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't start immediately. It took me a few years before I actually went for it, but it's called real estate. Yeah. I look back, it's like, man, if I wouldn't have been so skeptical, it would have, I'd be way different spot now, but I'm just grateful I eventually ended up there. So I found something called real estate wholesaling. And the concept is, you find deeply discounted properties, right? You find someone that wants a pawn shop for their house, and you pass that opportunity on to a flipper or a buy and hold investor for a fee. So for example, if I find, let's say his name's Steve, right? I find Steve, and Steve inherited this house, and his stepsister is on drugs, living in the house. They're cooking meth in the house. Steve has to fly in from Texas to here to Utah, and he gets a postcard that I want to buy his, horrible rundown house that he just inherited. And he goes, dude, if you can buy this house and have me done with this house, it's all yours. I just want to be done. Right? You deal with my crackhead family. I don't want to do it. Right? Just buy it. Mm-hmm. So we make him an offer. He accepts the offer. Let's say I get the house under contract for $100,000. It's really bad condition, meth decontamination, everything needs to be done. Well, then I go to Bob the flipper and I say, hey, Bob, this house completely fixed up's worth, let's say it's worth $300,000. How much total would you pay for this house? What would your best offer be? And he comes to me and says, oh, I'd pay $175,000 for this house. I say, okay, great. I've got it under contract for $100,000. My contract's assignable. You pay me $75,000 for the contract and it's all yours. So then I take a contract between me and Bob the flipper and Steve the seller, and I take that to the title company. Bob gives the title company the $175,000. The seller gets their $100,000. I get my $75,000. I'm done. I got no debt, took no risk. I just found the deal. So when I heard about this, I was like, there's no way that's possible. You can't find deals that, I thought it was BS, right? I just thought it was people trying to sell programs, but there was no real possible way you could find deals like that, especially in this economy. Mm-hmm. And then I had something happen to me. I was washing windows for a wealthy gentleman, and I found out he's a real estate developer. And I was like, man, I heard his story. He talked to me for like an hour. Just the sweetest guy. His name was Stan. And Stan's like, yeah, I've got these 2 rentals I don't want to deal with. You could have them, I'll sell them to you. He's like, I haven't collected rents in 4 months. The property manager bailed on me. And I don't want to deal with getting a new property manager. The real estate agent, wants me to kick the tenants out, deal with the evictions. I don't want to deal with it. I'll give them to you at a really good discount. Just buy it. Right. And I didn't have the money at the time. I didn't know that I could just sell the contracts, or I would have just done that. Right. But he was willing to be the banker for me. So I just made payments to him for the house. And then I turned around and sold those 2 houses the next year for over $100,000 profit.
Damn.
Right. A wealthy dude hooked me up, gave me an opportunity, and I made a ton of money. And then I was like, oh, it's real. Right. Yeah. Like you can actually find someone that doesn't want to deal with a property, that's not desperate for the money, and they would rather have convenience over the money. And so I found a coach that could teach me how to do it consistently. And that's when everything changed for me. Right. I make over $1 million a year now. It only took me a couple years to get there. And, that's how I found financial and time freedom, was through real estate, through finding discounted deals, because the power of this is I can pass those deals on for a discount, or I can, or I can pass it on to an investor and leave it a discount, or I can get some debt and flip them myself and make even more, or I can take my favorite ones and keep them as rentals and build passive income and build my wealth over time and get tax write-offs, right? Like it's to me, it's the best industry in the world. Like if you're not in real estate, you might love your job. That's fine. If you love your job, stay there, but you should be doing real estate as well, because there is no better asset class for a lot of different reasons. And so I jumped into it. It's completely changed my life. And, as I mentioned before, it was all about money and making money. And then once I had that financial freedom, I happened upon starting to help a few people through my coach. And I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. And I just started helping more and more and more people until it was like, oh, I guess now I'm a coach. It wasn't like I was like, I'm going to be a coach today. It never was the plan. I even did a 40-day challenge. Have you seen that? Have you heard of that 40-day challenge that I did?
In which the one that you make $40,000 in 40 days?
Yeah, I actually ended up making 93 grand. The goal was to do 40, but I did much more than that, right? And I documented day by day just to show people what it looks like, right? How to find the deals, how to talk to the sellers, like how to do it all. And I share it for free, right? So I just fell in love with it, dude. I fell in love with helping people and, allowing other people to have financial freedom as well. And being able to be on a show like this and meeting you and hearing your story, like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, man. It definitely is. And it sounds like, like you're crushing it, right? So what would you say, like, are some of the key, anyone out there listening to this and be like, I gotta start doing, I gotta start doing, what is it called? I forgot.
Real estate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real estate, wholesaling, right?
Yep.
I gotta start doing wholesaling. There's no risk. I don't need money. I just need to like find the deals, right? Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast, get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone, go to my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track, and I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. So, anyone listening out there and that may resonate with this, they may resonate with the fact that they don't come from money, they don't have any money to invest, they don't have to have properties, they don't have to have risk, right? It resonates with them, but they may be like, well, they want to know more. So what do you think, like, what do you say is the key to being able to be successful? And like you said, past that $1 million mark in a couple of years, like you've been able to.
Yeah. So my shirt, right? My shirt says driving for dollars. Driving for dollars mastery is my company, but driving for dollars is an age-old process to find discounted properties, right? You learn how to do driving for dollars, and you need a smartphone, you need a car, and you can find deals, right? So that's what I did on the 40-day challenge, right? I wanted to show people how it works. So I flew to Tampa, Florida. I'd never been there. The reason I went to Tampa is I had to get rid of all my connections, right? Because it's cheating if I'm here in Utah. Everyone's like, well, you got your connections still, Zach. That's why you're being successful. You have your team, and it's like, all right, fair. I'll go to somewhere else. And I only got $1,000. And I wanted to show people exactly what it takes. And so I got my smartphone.
That sounds like billionaire undercover.
Oh, dude, that's where I got the idea from. Totally stole it from them.
Nice.
Dude, I watched Undercover Billionaire 1 with Glenn Stearns. Dude, I love that guy. He's totally inspired me to do this. I freaking love him. That show is so inspiring. I love it. One day I hope to meet him. One of my students is like, dude, I met Glenn Stearns today. I told him all about you. And I was like, oh, dude, like, I wish I was there, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that guy.
That show was exciting, man. So yeah, keep on telling me about what you did.
So that's kind of where the idea came from, because I wanted to help students. I wanted to help people that weren't students. I wanted to help people see it in action, right? Because what took me from a skeptic to a believer is I met that guy named Stan who gave me over $100,000. You know, I was like, oh, dude, it's real. It's possible. So I wanted to show people what I've been doing to make money and let them see it happening live from scratch in a whole new market, to see that it can be done anywhere. It's just not unique to Utah or to Florida or to California. It can be done anywhere, right? And so I flew to Tampa. I took $1,000, and the first thing that I did is I downloaded an app called Deal Machine. So when I'm driving around these lower end neighborhoods, I'm looking for houses with physical signs of neglect, right? Because I'm looking for houses that perhaps the owners don't love the house anymore. And if they don't love the house, they're not going to cut the grass and plant flowers and, you know, fix the peeling paint. And it's going to look like a problematic property, right? So I'm going to drive around, look for those properties. With the Deal Machine app, all I got to do is touch the house on my phone, right? It's like a Google Maps image, and it's going to upload all of the information of the owner. So I can easily contact these people, right? And then I contact them and see if they want to sell. If they want to sell, I have to qualify. Do they want to squeeze out as much as possible? You know, are they down and out on their luck and they don't want to work with an investor? You know, they want to squeeze out as much as they can and work the traditional route. If that's the case, I can't help them, right? What I do doesn't serve them. But I'm trying to find people that want speed and convenience over price. As my mentor taught me, a pawn shop for houses, right? So I find those people. Once I find those people, then I do the deal. And it's very simple. I get a contract with them. I find a buyer that wants to buy it, and I take the paperwork to the title company and get paid. You know, the process is pretty simple. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of rejection. You know, when you call someone, you know, you're calling the worst of the worst houses. So people can be very vulgar and rude, you know, and say mean things. You know, you got to have some thick skin. But I wanted to show people what's possible, right? And it's really cool, because when I do find someone that wants and needs and appreciates what I do for them, it's awesome. It's mutually beneficial. We both win, right?
Awesome. I love that, man. So, and where can we find this $40,000 and 40? I know you did more, but that's how it's called still. Right?
Yeah. 40 and 40. Yeah. So you can, there's a link, there's a landing page. You get full access for free. You know, I'm not selling it. So you go to DFD Mastery, stands for Driving for Dollars, dfdmastery.com/40 in 40. So the number 40 in 40.
Nice. Awesome. We'll make sure to, you know, put that there so that people can go and have access and you know, look at your journey and how you made, how much you said, over 90,000 in 40 days?
Yeah. So I did 3 deals where I sold the contracts, right? No debt, no risk. And I made $93,000 on those 3 deals. The first one I made 10 grand, second one I made 30, and the last one I made 53,000, the bigger one.
Nice.
And then I ended up getting 2 more properties that I kept as rentals. I bought them for 110,000. They were worth like 220. So I made, you know, I had cash just burning a hole in my pocket. I needed to invest anyways. So I was like, well, I hit my goal. I might as well pick up some rentals, you know, while I'm here that would be good property. So I ended up doing 5 deals. You know, if you count the value that I could sell them for, I made almost $200,000.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Well, congrats. And I'm excited. So, you know, if we want to learn more, I know that you have your podcast as well, you know, Driving for Dollars Mastery podcast. Can we find some of this information in there as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I interview a lot of my students or people that watch that 40-day challenge and implemented the action steps that they learned. Like I just interviewed, we went live with Jack Boothe. He's actually from Vietnam. He didn't even speak English 3 years ago, but he implemented the action steps that I teach in there. In 5 months, he did his first deal. made 50 grand on his first deal and quit his job. He was making like $15,000 a year before that. Right.
Damn.
So I interviewed them, what they did, how they did it, and hear their story. So I have other people that are doing this on the podcast as well, and they share their tips and their strategies. There's tons of value in their teaching and explaining how this stuff works for sure.
Awesome. So, and why did you start the podcast? Just to like be able to provide some value to people for free?
Just to help more people. Yeah. So, a lot of people are like, oh, you're just trying to sell stuff. It's like, dude, most people don't realize I spent money. I've paid money for 2 years. Every dime that's come in from a student, I've put 100% of it back into content and teaching. It's and my team to get more people to know about it and learn and grow. Right? Like this is my passion project. Like it's where I spend more time on this than my investing business. I have a full team that runs it. I mean, I do over $1 million a year in my real estate. But I love this, dude. I freaking love helping people. And the only reason that if someone wants me to coach them is I want them to take my time as seriously as I do. So I only know they're going to do that if they make some kind of investment. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my students, they have my cell phone number and I go through their deals with them and they have, full action steps and everything that they need to implement, coaching calls and everything else that we do. But I do TikToks and I do podcasts. I do YouTube. I do Instagram reels. Like we're producing a ton of this content to teach and help. You were mentioning, writing, starting with the end in mind, right? Writing your obituary. Did you get that from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Where'd you get that?
Yeah. I got it from that book. And then I got it from the Compound Effect. Then I implement it. I didn't implement it by paying $10 for reading the books. I implemented when I paid a couple of $1,000 on a coach who told me to do it, right?
Love it. Yeah. So I did that same thing when I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of my favorite books, actually. And, he says, start with the end in mind. And for me, it's like, what do I want to be remembered for? Do I want to be remembered that I drove a Lamborghini and lived in a mansion and had a yacht? Like, no one gives a crap, right? I don't even care. I don't want a Lamborghini. I want experiences. I want adventures, and I want connections with people. And I want to make a difference in this world. I want to help people. Like I truly do. I want to be the person that made a difference. I look at my mentor, Tom Kroll, that taught me this stuff and has helped me become a better coach, and all the love and time that he's poured into me, dude. And he said to me, he said, Zach, nobody cares about you. Nobody's coming to your funeral. He said, all people care about is how much have you helped them? How much have you changed their lives? And Tom Kroll has taught me so much and he's changed so much of my life that's what I want to be. That's what I aspire to be. I want to make a difference in as many people's lives as I possibly can. And, that's why I said yes to your show. That's why I say yes to every show. It's why I do so much content. It's because there might be just one person that'll listen to this and take action on what I teach. I'm not saying join my coaching program, but take action and actually get results that will positively affect their lives. And that's why I do it.
Nice. I love that, man. Yeah. Like all my life, like all I live for is like 3 words. I on my obituary, right? I have 3 words that define how I live my life. And that's purpose, growth, and contribution, right? So like each and every one of us has a purpose, right? Like everyone has a purpose. Even a tree has a purpose. Even a bee has a purpose, right? And every single one of us has a purpose. Whether you have found it or not, whatever that means, whether you've found your purpose or not, you have a purpose, right? And if you feel like you don't, well, all you got to do is focus on the other 2 words, which is growth and contribution. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, right? On growing and then giving back to people, contributing. And by focusing on that, then you'll find your quote unquote true purpose. But that's what I believe life is all about, man. Purpose, right? Your purpose, growth, and contributing, giving back to other people, helping as many people as you can, while you become the best version of yourself. So yeah, I love that, man. And that's what I live for. That's literally what I live for. And it's like interesting, right? Because when you live this way, I don't know if you said that or it was in another interview, but it's like you're not working. You're like, well, it's still work, but like you like it for some reason. Helping people drives you, right? Like it gives you like a different type of drive when you contribute to people and when you see the results of your knowledge or your wisdom or whatever it is that you give them, when you see the results and how that impacts, you get like a different level of drive, right? Would
Yeah.
you agree?
It's like what I said before, where in the beginning I was avoiding pain and I was doing a bunch of tasks that sucked, and I was pushing through the pain and dealing with objection and dealing with failures because I wanted to provide a better life and not be a failure, right, in my own mind. And then as I found success and then started using that success to bless other people's lives, it became a place of love. I started working with a place of love, and I feel guilty sometimes because I feel like I have my cake and I eat it too. I go to work and I love it, and I come home from work and I love it, and I go play and I love it, and I don't feel like my
And you're
life's as hard
successful,
as it
happy,
should.
and fulfilled.
Yeah, and it's like I see so many people around me that aren't, and I see so many people that I could help, but it's like I feel like I'm out of place and even rude to say something or give them advice, and so places like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, I can jump into someone's personal space and personal life and teach something and teach a principle and be on a podcast like this with from a place of love and not judging, but giving, things that changed my life and the struggles that I went through and what I did and how I did it to change that. And it's pretty powerful, dude. Like there's a lot of hate around social media and it's a waste of time, but it's like there's a lot of cool things that we can do to support and help and lift up each other. I mean, I served a Christian mission in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and learned Portuguese. And, you start crossing boundaries, political and economic boundaries, physically, and it's kind of scary. I had guns pulled on me twice, and I was definitely out of place physically. And I was this big, goofy, goober white dude, walking down the streets. You could totally tell I was not from there. And it was uncomfortable at times. It was kind of scary at times. And, I think there's so many places, even within our own country, where I wouldn't be accepted or people don't feel accepted to go and to speak and to present information. But with these platforms and with this YouTube content that I did, dude, I can cross cultural and social and racial boundaries and serve and help regardless of who's on the other screen. It's a beautiful and powerful thing. It really is.
Yeah, I agree, man. So Zach, I've loved everything that you've shared, man. But we have a couple of minutes, and I end my every single interview with 5 questions. And this is not the first one, but I'm just curious. How old are you, man?
I'm 33.
Nice. Okay. So then you spent 10 years from 17 to 27 building your window business. Then you spent another couple of years skeptic about it. So what age were you when you actually jumped into real estate?
So I walked away full time from window cleaning to real estate in 2017, but I did my first real estate deal in 2012. I bought a duplex, right? But I bought it the traditional route. I lived in one side, rented the other, and I did 1 or 2 deals before I met Stan and learned about wholesaling. But I didn't really learn about wholesaling until about 2015. I met Stan in 2016. The very beginning of 2017, I went for it, right? So I had been learning about it for a long time. When I was 14 years old, I was mowing lawns at night after school with my dad. We had a lawn mowing business as a kid. I started I started mowing when I was 11 until I was 15. Then I started working for other people, framing houses and stuff. But, I remember asking my dad about how do you make money? Why are we mowing people's lawns? Why don't people mow our lawn? Why are we poor? Why are they living in mansions and we're not, and my dad's so funny. He just like grumbled. He's like, oh, I don't know. Ask my rich friend,
Yeah.
And I was like, who's your rich friend? He's like, Clint. I'm like, Clint's broke. He drives this beat up old truck. He's like, no, son, he's just cheap, but he's really rich, And
Damn.
so when I was 14, I went to Clint and I said, hey, my dad said you're rich. How are you rich?
Yeah.
And he gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book is very much around how to build wealth and the difference between wealthy and poor and what makes people wealthy and what makes people poor. And it talks a lot about real estate. and being responsible for your own financial freedom. And so when I was 14, I read that, and that was my first introduction to self-improvement or financial education.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of put me on that path. That's why, at a very young age, I started a business.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of like my first introduction. So it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't an
Yeah, for
overnight
sure.
thing, and there was a lot of mistakes. But I'm sure grateful that I've landed where I have.
Nice. So you're 33, right? So, man,
33.
what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could?
The biggest mistakes that I've made is, for the longest time, I had this limiting belief. I told myself for years and years that you're dumb, so you have to hustle really hard.
Mm, yeah.
I struggled to retain information. I wasn't the best student. I have some anxiety around remembering things. Like if I forget someone's name, it like causes me stress because I know that might be insulting to them, and I don't want anyone to feel like they're not loved. So like I'd like panic. So I have like testing anxiety. I have memory anxiety. Anyway, so I've dealt with this, and when I had that painful moment of not being able to afford my medical bills for my boy, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start or what could be done, but that pain pushed me to do something. What I did is I started listening to podcasts like this, and I started listening to books and reading books. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 14, but I didn't pick up another financial book or education book until my mid-20s. And that's what kept me from growing. And that's what made me grow so much in the last 7-8 years of my life, is because I became a perpetual student. I read, I study, I implement. I started hiring mentors. I always have mentors. Right now, I probably, just this year, I know that I've paid well over $100,000 in mentorship and coaching and advisors, between TikTok coaches, YouTube coaches, podcast producer, one-on-one coaching for the direction of my company's 50 grand for 6 months, plus 10% of my profits of my company. Like, I dump a ton of money into my growth. And, it didn't start with that much money, but the more I made, the more I invested in myself. And I'm hiring a mentor to help me understand and do more development deals, right? Because I want to grow. I want to always be growing. So that was what I tell myself, is always be a student. Listen to podcasts, read books, and implement, hire mentors, right? That was a huge mistake. I tried to figure it out all on my own with just a lot of hard work and elbow grease, and there is a much better way.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, man. So keep on developing yourself, read books, hire mentors, ask for help, and implement. Cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yep.
So mindset, what is one mindset shift that you've had recently, maybe recently, that you can share that you think is contributing to your success?
There's so many. With every new accomplishment, with every goal that you guys will accomplish as entrepreneurs, it'll open up new obstacles and new things that you don't understand and that if you ever think that you'll be comfortable, you're being silly, right? You'll never be comfortable completely, because the more you grow, the more your eyes are opened up to what you don't understand, right? I was reading a book recently called Killing Sacred Cows that opened up my mind to this. He talked about levels of knowledge. There's the things that we know that we know. There's the things that we think we know. There's the things that we don't know that we don't know. And then, the things that we know that we don't know. And then the things that we have no idea that we don't know. So the more that we know, the more that we think we know. The more that we think we know, the more we know we don't know. For example, I don't know how electricity works. I know it's there, but I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I couldn't wire how. I don't know. I know that I don't know. But the funny thing is, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you have to learn still.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the reason I say this is, if you're always a student, if you're always growing, there's no end to it. You'll never arrive. There's no such thing as I made it. There's no destination. You're never going to like be a successful entrepreneur and be like, oh, I made it. You're always going to feel like, oh, there's more to learn. There's more to do. There's more people to help. Like that's never going to go away. And it's a beautiful thing, right? And that's definitely a huge realization.
Right? Embrace it instead of thinking that you're going to arrive and being frustrated as to why you don't arrive. Instead, learn to embrace the process, learn to enjoy the process, learn to, enjoy the process basically.
Yeah. Most people are like, man, I want to have this much of passive income so I can retire. And it's like, what are you going to do? Sit on a beach drinking pina coladas? Like that sucks. Like go do that as much as you want. But dude, there's only so much of that till you're going to get depressed, fat, and unhappy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like work is good for us. A balanced life, of course, not just work. But we should work. We should work for ourselves. We should work for the people that we're serving with our work. We should work for our families, right? We should work to build our own character. And there's other areas of our lives, that you talk about that makes a modern gentleman, right? Mm-hmm. Our physical, our emotional, our families. There's lots of things to work on, but I don't believe in retirement. I think that's something that the corporate world set up so people will stay at a job that they absolutely hate for way too long. Right. Yeah. But I don't believe in that. I don't think we're meant to stop working.
Yeah, for sure. So 2 more questions, man. This one is, what is one habit that you have right now? One habit that you think is contributing to your success? One habit.
Yeah. Something that I started doing. I used to think morning routines were stupid. Mm-hmm. I used to be like, it's BS, dude. Just, you got to have discipline. That's how you'll have success. I found that working out in the morning is the greatest thing ever.
Why? So why is that?
9 months ago, so I'm a big time outdoorsman. Like I bow hunt, like I'll live in the mountains for, a ton of time. Like I've spent in the last month, I've probably slept in a tent for 3 weeks total. Right. Like I've slept out in my tent more than I have at home. So I love it. Right. I live for it. And it's very physical. It's hard. A lot of times I go, 15, 20 miles a day. And through crazy terrain, and it's physically hard. And I was watching this YouTube influencer and this hunting show, and they're like climbing down through these cliffs and rafting rivers and climbing up the other side, and doing it again the next day. And they're like these 60-year-old just meatheads, and they're just buff as heck, great hair. And I'm like, what in the hell are these guys taking? They're nuts. I want to be like that. And I found out they do CrossFit. So I was like, okay, I'll go try CrossFit, right? I'll go give it a try. And so I started doing it in the mornings just because it was what made most sense for my family and myself. And I fell in love with it. For the last 9 months, I just hit the 1,000-pound club between my 3 power lifts this week. Nice. I'm twice as strong. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm more confident than I've ever been. But the cool thing I found that when I get up in the morning, I exercise discipline to hit that workout. I get my heart rate up, my appetite's up, my metabolism is up. I feel more energetic. I feel better. It's definitely been a new habit that I've created that I've absolutely loved. Right, working out in the mornings.
Awesome. And man, the last question before we call this, we end this, because I know that you gotta go, is what do you think about measuring and tracking?
Oh, dude, it's essential, even just for my own fitness, right? I'm measuring how much I'm lifting from one workout to the next. I know exactly where I'm at with my deadlift, my squat. It's the same thing with my business. I'm tracking exactly what each team member is doing, how many cold calls we made, how many leads, how many appointments. If we're not tracking, we're not improving. Same with my nutrition. If you do not track what you do and the results you get, how can you improve? You're living your life by what you think, and it's off of emotion, and you will never scale. It's so essential.
Awesome. Well, Zack, man, I've had a lot of fun. I've loved everything that you've shared, all the wisdom that you've dropped on us, man. So thank you. And if anyone else loved what you're all about, or they want to know more about what you do, in the real estate side of things, or your podcast or whatever, where would be the best place in which they could get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you guys can catch me on any social media platform. But if you want to shoot me a DM on any social media platform, either Facebook or Instagram is probably preferable for a DM. I respond, personally. Happy to help you guys, happy to direct you. I may not be the best coach for you, but I'm happy to direct you. If you have any questions, love to help you guys. You can apply for my coaching program, but I don't necessarily want to push that. I want you to research what I do, how I do it before you even look at my coaching. So just go check me out on social media if you have any interest. Definitely watch that 40-day challenge for sure.
Awesome. So we'll make sure to have your socials and all of that where
Cool.
it disappears, man. Thank you very much for being here. And I know that you have an important call that you got to be on. So thank you very much, man. And I'll see you later. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms